especially companies in China, they are not doing the same thing they set out to do, right? So actually, from that point, it's more important to find the right people to work with you. So it's basically, you need to find partners. This is one biggest lesson I find the right partners. One biggest lesson I learned when I started my own business. Basically, I basically done it by myself. It's been hard. And so if I have one or two partners working together with me, we kind of complement each other, then things will be much different. The fundraising platform I started about 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago. Very few people actually thought about that, and right now there's too many of them already. So actually, recently I changed my focus into try to help a specific sector, like hardware-related companies, because I came from that area and I want to help company grow from very beginning to help them to raise funds, help them find their suppliers, find them customers, and help them find the next round of funding. So this is what I'm focusing right now. But if I had a partner, from the beginning, it will be much different. So I think that's why I always would like to see a page of team page. So because I think all the startup is really hard. So if you want to have a successful business, you need to find the right people to work with you. And also with that in mind, even you have a team in mind, you also need to think what's the worst scenario could happen. So you also need to have an exit strategy for your partners. So if things doesn't work out, this is a lot of lesson from a lot of startups in China. I know a lot of people, they expect their classmates, their friends, they decide to do something together. They say, okay, it doesn't matter, we just do it. If it's a big business, it doesn't matter how much shares we have. But after half a year, 1 year, somebody walked away, but still they have a big chunk of the company's shares in hand. This will be a very big problem for company going forward. So you need to think about it. If you want to start a company, you have the team. That's great. Everybody is excited to do something. Great. But after 3 months, somebody probably will have second thought, right? So you need to have a clear strategy how, when they decide to leave, how you're gonna get the shares back, and how you also you need to let them know get all the effort they put in didn't waste it, right? So there's a balance between how to keep most of the shares for the people who's going to be with the company for the long term, and also still compensate people who have been working hard for the company. So this is pretty much I have for today. So thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Let's welcome our third company, Matisha. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Justin. I'm the CEO of Matisa. We are a predictive analytics company, and we help businesses create strategic value based on their data. So we're at a very, very interesting point in the field of analytics, because predictive analytics is the next big thing. Companies are realizing that they cannot make decisions just based on experience, just based on the information that they have in their departments, or based on conversations with other people. They realize that in order to have a competitive edge in the modern world, they need to make decisions based on all the data their organization has, and not just that, the data outside in the public domains in social media. So we're seeing a shift, and it's happening right now. And this shift is from what we call diagnostic analytics, where people are looking at their data and figuring out why did it happen, why something happened, and shifting to predictive analytics, where they're using that data and they're trying to translate it into something that they can predict, oh, how can I make this happen, and what will happen. And this is not just a industry trend, it's something we're feeling in Hong Kong right now, and that's why we managed to sign in 2 months paying customers in different verticals of this industry. This is an urgent business need in many verticals right now. So our target consumer is really a decision maker. It could be a C-level executive. It could be someone who heads up a marketing department. It could be a portfolio manager. And this person, he's not technical, so he doesn't know data science, but he knows how to make decisions if you gave him the right data. He knows how he compares against his other competitors. He knows what the drivers are. So he knows how to make those decisions. And what we do is we empower him to convert the data around him into strategic value. Essentially, Matisa tries to do three things. We help citizen data scientists, people with no data science knowledge, to ask, analyze, and act on data. And I'm going to talk about each of these things. The first thing, ask. Matisa aggregates all types of data, from emails, news articles, social media, internal databases, the things that you have in your departments that are shared across teams, and puts it in one place so that you can analyze and identify hidden relationships in it. And based on those relationships, you are able to create a predictive model in an easy-to-use interface, a drag-and-drop interface. And based on that, you can convert those insights into predictions. So Matisa allows you to ask, analyze, and act on your data. And now I'm going to talk about two specific use cases so you can get a sense. The first is in the finance industry, and the second is in building management. And these are our initial customers and what they're using Matisa for. So in finance, what our customers are using Matisa for is predicting the value of assets. And I'm not talking about very liquid assets like public stocks. I'm talking about assets where the information is not as liquid, such as a private company, and perhaps a property, or a small cap stock that Bosch Bracket Research doesn't cover. So what Matisa does is it goes to the stock exchange website, goes to the news website, goes to the social media channels, and pulls together information about these companies. It then identifies hidden relationships between the price of the security and the underlying assets, and it formulates its own model to predict that price. And as it gathers more data, it's able to figure out which factor is more relevant in the current market environment, and it uses that to do an estimate on the price. And our customers can use that pricing information to make a buy and sell decision. So I'm going to shift gears and talk about another use case, which is in energy. And here we have signed a partnership with a leading engineering consulting company here and two really large real estate companies, which I cannot disclose because of the nature of the partnership. But what we're doing is we are creating an algorithm to control the cooling in the building. This is a huge space because right now it's completely manual. So you have someone with 20 years of experience. He knows how to operate a building based on his gut feel. And a building has so many different parts. In this building, there are chillers, cooling towers, air supply fans, and there's so many different components. And there's no quantitative way to operate a building to minimize cost. And so Matisa pulls in the building's data and combines it with the weather information as well as grid prices and creates an optimization algorithm so that we can manage a building's cooling load over the day. And this could potentially save millions of dollars. Now I've talked about two use cases in finance and energy. And initially we are trying to target the finance, retail, and energy markets. But there's still a lot of other industries that could use this, ranging from healthcare, insurance, manufacturing, transportation, and telecom. All in all, this is a $33 billion total addressable market for big data and predictive analytics. But there's one thing I want to highlight here, which is if you look at any company, a large organization that is using predictive analytics, they're actually spending $500,000 to $1 million for a successful program. And what I'm talking about here is a specific use case in a specific department. And why are they spending so much money? Because the data scientists are expensive, the quants are expensive. These are people that are very specialized. So in order to make this sort of analysis globalized, you need a platform that doesn't require that specialized knowledge, and that's what Matisa does. So natural question is, what makes us different? And here I want to talk about two things. The first is user experience. We are a very simple user interface that is suited for the modern user, someone who's impatient, someone who only wants something very simple. If you look at the existing platforms out there, the IBMs, the SAS, the SAP, check out their systems. They're like Microsoft 2000. The other thing I want to talk about is how we create a barrier to entry. We are focused on Asia. If you look at existing players, all their revenue is from the US and Europe, less than 20% in Asia. And we are already collecting so much information in the Asia Pacific region. And our crawlers crawl more than 1 million data points each day. And so, as we gain customers, our algorithms will be the strongest in each industry, and our algorithms will work the best in the Asia Pacific region. Another thing I want to talk about is our go-to-market strategy. Here, we really differ from the traditional enterprise model, where you talk to a customer and you try to, maybe you reach out to the procurement department, and you spend 6 months to a year creating a relationship. We're really going straight to the end user. So any team, a marketing team that wants to use our service can sign up and can use it right away. And he can onboard his entire team. And if they like the product, they can shift to a standard pay-per-user model. And if they like it, then we can move them into an enterprise model. Last thing I want to talk about is why we're the team to do it. So we've designed and built software for some of these companies. And we've built software that scales for millions of users. We're also serial entrepreneurs. My co-founders and I have worked together before, and we have a successful track record in B2B. So all in all, we're really excited to be in this space of predictive analytics, and we hope to help companies change the way they analyze data. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Regardless of money, any one of you would like to be the partner of them or using their service, please raise up your hand. Okay. Why you would like to use their service?
It's always important for the decisions to make based on the information, and it is help and it was really good, but I need to test is to help, and you said that it have some marketing model, we can upgrade it after we test it or use it, so at least I would like to try.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Justin, for the presentation. That was very good. One of the robo-advisory or these predictive analytics kind of a trend is the next big thing. The only thing is you can say a lot of things, and it's really hard to really see how accurate it is. Originally, I thought it was just a financial thing, but now you're talking about you can actually apply in different areas like medical, like manufacturing, like in building management as well. So the partners that you're working for right now, how many of those are financial, how many of those are non-financial?
So right now, we work with two types of customers. The first is financial market, and the second is in building management. And these are our two main areas. So I would say about half in each. And these are people on pilot programs with us.
Okay, the thing is, using a financial model is very different from a building management model. And you only have one CTO, and all of these kind of background. Normally when you're doing robo-advisory or actually the algorithm behind, people take like teams of Harvard or MIT students or the brainchilds to sit in a room and hack all the algorithms out. So how are you different from other algorithms which other companies are already using, and you're saying, hey, my model is better, and how the successful rates are you with, especially the financial industry partners?
In the financial industry, we're working with people who have done this kind of robo-advisory before. So these are our clients working together with us on it. And what makes us different is the market we're targeting is very different. So traditionally, not in robo-advising, a lot of the automatic trading has been in high frequency. What we're doing here is in small cap and in private companies. This is kind of like a different type of valuation. And the models, in fact, are pretty simple. They just haven't been applied to this space yet, and they can be very effective.
Okay, how much money are you asking for?
Right now, we're actually privately funding this, but we're looking to raise sometime next year in the first half.
Okay, but how much?
Should be, we're not sure yet.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. So the presentation you gave was a nice overview of what you're trying to do. I'm trying to visualize what it actually looks like. So conceptually, I know what you're trying to do, but how does it work? I know you gave 2 examples, but in the example of, let's say, doing the HVACs, right? You need a data set to start with in order to plug it into your software. So how does the customer, what format do they give it to you in?
That's a really good question. So in most building management systems, they spit out data in different formats. There are about 3 different formats. And the guys that we're working with, they're very big real estate groups. So they typically have many commercial buildings. So what we're doing is we're starting the pilot project on one of their buildings each. And it spits out data in a certain format, which Matisa parses and then puts it into the system. And then the algorithm is really quite simple. It's basically a math optimization program that figures out how to minimize the cost of each component, the amount of energy each component uses, and while maintaining the comfort requirement throughout the day.
Okay, so you've got your spreadsheet, and then the customer will give you their costs associated with the energy output in running their air conditioning systems for a certain period of time during the peak times when people come to work, or peak times when the tenants are there, and you put all of that into your backend system to come up with data points that would, I guess, be a summary of what they're looking at.
Well, actually, it's a bit, so that's a good question again, and I can talk to you more about the algorithm in detail because it's quite lengthy. But this is an algorithm that the building managements with 20 years of experience think will work as well. So it's not just something that a few data scientists think will work. What it does is it takes the building data real time. And the building has all sorts of data, and based on all that real-time information, it's able to figure out an algorithm. And what it does is it's trying to minimize it's trying to meet the comfort requirements. That's the objective. And the other objective is to minimize the energy use for each component. And basically how this is controlled is using a set point system. So for your chiller, you have a set point. Your cooling towers, you have a set point. And all these set points can form a complex range of equations, and you're trying to solve for minimizing that objective function. So it's a mathematical approach.
Okay, and then your team, can you give some background as to what your team looks like?
So my team has 20 engineers and designers. We started out as a software consulting firm, which is why we work with a lot of the companies here. So we're very used to speaking to large corporates and signing this kind of projects. I've worked together with my co-founders, Jacqueline and Eugene. And Jacqueline, her background is in biology, and she's also a serial entrepreneur. And my other partner, who's our CTO, he is a very young guy. He's pretty much the child prodigy sort of person. So he picks up programming really well, and he's the person that heads up a lot of the development efforts.
And you're all are you all full time?
Yeah, we're all full time.
And all based in Hong Kong.
Yes, Quarry Bay.
Okay. And my last question is what kind of pricing do you use for your service?
Currently, everything is enterprise because our system is not fully featured right now, and we've only been around for 2 months. So how we're building our system is together using pilot projects together with enterprise clients. But we hope to move on to the freemium model once we get a more full feature set.
Okay, thank you.
Justin, thanks for the presentation. I totally agree with you that predictive analytics is the next big thing. I have to say, I've got a couple of queries. Perhaps like Derek, I really wanted to know more about your team. You've just explained that you've got 20 plus engineers and designers, but why on earth wasn't that in the presentation? I really, again, don't know why you didn't include that kind of pertinent information. We're here at KPMG, we're a big accounting firm. Where are your financials? You know, I really want to see your business model and your financials. Where are they?
Well, because we are a private company, we don't I'm happy to talk to you about them privately, but I guess we're not comfortable putting them on the screen. But having said that, we have paying customers, and we are a cash flow generative company, which makes us very interesting. We're kind of like an outlier when you look at the startup space.
Okay, good point. Now, don't get me wrong. I was, there was some good slides, good information in there. I like the fact that you talked about the fact that you've got signed customers across industry verticals. I think you mentioned in the last 2 months. It would have been perhaps nice to know the names of some of those customers. Are you dealing with, big corporates? Are you dealing with ma and pa stores?
So some of them are very small customers, but some of them are very big. And if I name them, you will know exactly who they are. But I think it's a similar case as Grom, where we're not allowed to disclose who they are.
Okay. And I think the other thing that I was just going to say, I think sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful about talking about how you differentiate yourselves. I appreciate you're Asia-based, but data analytics is not necessarily geographic, is it? It's global.
So that's a great question, and let me elaborate on that. So why is Asia relevant? Look at the data analytics companies in the US. Some of them come with what they call a public infrastructure layer, where they have a lot of public data that's openly available on different US websites. And try to look at how much they have in Asia. They pretty much have almost zero. So the guy that's able to aggregate this kind of unstructured data in Asia is really going to have a competitive edge.
Again, very, very good point. Just wish you'd have put it in your slide presentation. Get those points across. So you mentioned that you're looking to raise money, but again, sometime next year, and you're not too sure about how much?
The reason why we're not too sure is we are.
Don't you have at least a little idea?
I think it would be a seed round, but I'm not sure how much yet.
Okay, thanks, Justin. I'm not giving you a hard time, by the way.
It's a very interesting area you're focusing on. I think if your team is really good, there's something you can really work on. Right now, look at it. It seems you're trying to do too much. It's almost applicable for anywhere. And one question I have is, how do you measure the effectiveness of your algorithm? Like, okay, I use it. How do I use? I benefit from using your system. Like, what's the measurement? Like time I saved, or like how much more money I make? I don't know. Yeah.
So it's really performance-based. So the reason why we managed to get into partnerships with a lot of these large building managers is because our algorithm has to show results in terms of cost savings per month for a building. So we have to be able to say, hey, I can reduce your HVAC cost by 10-15% before they will actually start taking that a step further.
Is it really the same algorithm you're using to prepare financial data?
Some parts is similar. So we can talk about this a bit more, but in most financial algorithms, what people use is a regressive type model. And sometimes they do what's called ensemble machine learning, where they have several techniques and then they pick the best one. In building management, what we're doing is a bit of SVM, which is also kind of one of the common methods in machine learning, and we're using a math optimization algorithm, which is actually it's a mathematical process that came up even before machine learning. So these are not really, there are things that there are existing libraries out there to make use of to run these programs. So it's not, the science is not the innovative part. It's really how you put together the algorithm.
Okay, so from what I can understand is that you're a team of people who actually familiar with all these popular algorithms, machine learning, deep learning, whatever. There are artificial intelligence stuff, and you can based on specific customer requirement try to pick the right one to work for a specific task, building management or prepare financial information, and then you can maybe try to optimize the all the efficient coefficient whatever. So But that doesn't sound like something you can really scale, right? You know, it's not like you have a algorithm you can just put to work for someone. So basically, every new customer coming in, you probably have to spend some time to build a specific model for them, right? Is that true?
Well, so that's another very good question. So the first key thing about scaling this is you need to target a few verticals first, as you rightly pointed out. The second thing is what we're talking about. The first time you do one use case, yes, you are writing it you're writing the algorithms by yourself. But after that, you can package that algorithm into a graphical user interface that people can then drag and drop and use. And so that's how we scale within the industry sector.
Okay, yeah, I'm more interested in seeing, for example, I just apply for, say, hedge fund or maybe say private companies, and how I save, the whoever working on that, how much time. It used to be a team of 5, to get same kind of report, you can get it something like that, and also, especially for hedge fund, if you can put in a little bit of money, real money, try to test out your algorithm to actually generate like above the market return. That's even better. But anyway, the other thing you mentioned about China angle, right? The Asian angle. Right, for that, where are you getting your data and how much data you accumulate? How much data you are pulling every day?
So in terms of data, we use crawling to get our data, and our crawling is very sophisticated. It can get through a lot of different systems. And what we have right now is almost all the financial data in the Hong Kong market and the Shanghai Stock Exchange. And also this includes news, financial filings, and also the financial information.
So all the public information, basically you use crawler to gather that information. So how much data you are collecting? Is it every day or you just do it periodically?
We do it every day.
Every day. How much data you are collecting?
Well, right now, the database has more than 10 million data points.
10 million data points. That's not a lot.
Yes,
the company I'm talking to, like they're collecting 1 terabyte, anyway. So, like Tencent have probably several hundred data, right? So it's yeah.
Of course, we are a small company, but we have very relevant information, which is why our customers are already using us.
Okay. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to have a 10-minute coffee break, so let's relax, have a break, and we'll start sharp 10 minutes later. Thank you.